All right. So as we get started with the this week's Midweek Howl, the non-paranormal part of the From the Shadows podcast, I'm looking over the Howler's shoulder. And what's that supposed to be? The Earth? I see Italy. Is that Italy?
Yep, that's
I
it.
see.
That's where I'm over. I'm over here on the International Space Station. They can't they can't bring me back.
They can't bring him. We were just watching the news this morning about it's that private company who landed something on the moon, like to do some research. Now, however, they landed on the moon with the help of $100 million from NASA. But and my wife asked me, she goes, "They ever bring those people back from the space
No,
station?"
no, they don't. We don't have the ability to get them back. I think Musk is supposed to be bringing them back.
Is he by firing everybody that is capable of doing
He's firing the NASA people that haven't went in space in 20 some years.
it?
Uh,
Although the last thing I think he launched blew up, so
I
I'm
thought
not.
it landed back. I thought it landed back on the launch pad the other day, didn't it?
Oh, is that the last? Is that since the last thing
Come
that
on,
blew up?
man. He puts about they put about 20 things in space a year. So about every 6 weeks they put something up there.
Yeah,
Or one.
so they can get all of our cell phone service. Yeah, that's what they put up.
Or whatever until the Chinese knock it out, right?
But I see so what's that coming up over the earth? Is that the sun or the moon in that picture? Would that be the sun?
Or it could be the moon reflecting the light. Isn't that
Hmm,
what happens?
I don't know. I don't know. Um, Either way, nobody we don't I don't think we know enough about space to continue the conversation. Conversation.
If they ever really put anybody up there, that's how it started.
I'm gonna tell you. So the video from the moon looks so ridiculously clear. Okay, doesn't even look real. It
From 30
looks
some years ago.
no,
50,
from yesterday or whenever this thing landed.
I thought that was Mars or Venus or something.
No, they landed on the moon this week, and I'm like, well, who is? So they're taking a picture from somewhere else of the craft that's landed, and I'm like, well, who's taking this picture? And but then they said they had landed some unmanned stuff there recently, like last year. So I'm sure that is what's taking the picture. At least that's how I'm going to convince myself
Dude, it's just like any kind of thing that the camera guy is always there when the host walks in the restaurant or something and they act like it's spontaneous. You thought that was spontaneous the whole time?
Well, no, not on TV. I know when Josh Gates comes around the corner of the cave, like he's digging around in, and then there's somebody video him coming
See, the
around the
camera
corner.
guy should be the famous person because he's already going. He's always going first.
Hey, listen, I'm watching these. I watch a lot of Josh Gates and these other guys, and the Blind Frog Ranch. You ever watch the Blind Frog Ranch?
No, how do you have time to watch all this TV?
I don't. But when I do sit and watch, that's what I watch. But these guys get in these little like caves, and I'm talking like there's no way. I mean, I'm twice as big as a
That's why
normal.
they're making a living there, and you're carrying the mail.
But it is, they are barely squeezing through these places. And the only way, if you don't end up coming into some place that is big enough for you to turn around to get
But
back
they're not the
out,
first person in there. People have been in there before them.
have they?
Well, yes, they don't. They send some producers.
Oh no, some of
It's
those,
like when the
no way.
damn. It's like when what's the antique show?
Oh, the American Pickers.
Yeah, they send the thing out a month, 6 weeks ahead, 6 months ahead. The picker's
Hmm.
going to be in town, and then some producers go and you fill out a call sheet and what do you have and sign these releases and we're going to do this and you're going to argue that and we're not going to buy anything and you're going to get shitty with them. Or it's hey, you're going to love it and you got this and you got that and
So
so
you're
they put some
telling me
people
there's
down.
nothing spontaneous.
No,
Oh, see, regardless, if you're crawling through that little cave system, you still got to be able to get in there and turn around, have nothing happen. Okay. It's one thing to go pick grandma's old rocking chair out of a barn and know that it's there. It's another thing that sends some numbnuts through a cave a week earlier. You don't know what's happened in that cave in the
Dude,
week.
how do you think they found the cave? 20 numbnuts have been through that thing before.
But not on TV, not on the Discovery Channel.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
it's
come on.
like that. What I'm saying is, but they have been in there before.
Well, the point is it's so tight. It's ridiculous. I mean, I went to a cave and nobody, we didn't send our producer through there. And
That's because you don't have enough money to have a special. You don't have a spelunking. You don't have a spelunking producer.
well, the whole time I was questioning, like, what am I doing in this thing? One little shift of the rock and you're done. But that's neither here nor there. I wanted to tell you about a little trip Christy and I went on yesterday to a place that I think you would appreciate. Um, so we had to go get groceries on our normal Saturday date night. Okay. And so we kind of took the long way around through this little town called Shelby. And I asked her, there used to be this really cool furniture place called the Spring Mill Furniture Barn. So what it was is this great big dairy barn, and at some point they turned into this huge furniture place. And she goes, I don't even know. It's one of those places where you don't go every year or whatever, and we don't pass by it. And I said, I don't even know if it's still around. So we took the road, and sure enough, it was open for like another half hour. So we walk in the place, and the barn's amazing. It's one of those awesome barns that was built in the 20s, and it was I think the guy told me it's 14,000 square foot of
Well, that's good size.
it was just an old dairy barn, and it is like four levels of just furniture. It's really nice, you know, furniture and stuff. But because we're looking for some chairs, and so the guy got to talking to us. 74 years old. This guy, he said actually that day was yesterday morning was one of the best mornings he's had in 50 or 60 years that this place has been open. Like, so,
What you mean? He sold that much? Or what?
yeah, sales wise. And so,
Well,
and that's
we got
saying
a new
something,
president. It's rolling.
right? I think everybody wants to spend the money before it's really worth nothing. But so he told us the story. His mom and dad in the 40s started this little company called the Shelby Chair Company because they were in Shelby, Ohio, which is also the home of the seamless tube. So for bicycles, it's like one of the
Mhm.
it's like the so he said that they were
I hate to do this.
what's that?
I got to bring Ed into every conversation.
Oh God, what's it? What's it?
That's where his wife's from. But go ahead.
His wife's from Shelby, Ohio?
Yeah, but go ahead.
Oh my gosh. All right. So
Yeah.
so these people so they were driving down this road, which the road was a two-lane road, and he saw this old dairy farm or dairy barn that had been sitting vacant at that point in the 60s for probably 20, 30 years. And he goes, I will take credit. I told my dad, I said, hey, and he goes, I was 14 at the time. He goes,
Whoa.
I said, why don't you buy that and turn that into a furniture place? And he said they pulled in there and um, took a
Bought
look
it for
at.
$52 in a
He did.
61 Chevy
He
or
didn't
something.
say. He didn't say what they bought it for, but he said he says dad went back to the bank. So this is his mom and dad have already had a very successful furniture business for 15 years, almost 20
Okay.
years at this
Yep.
point. And he said the first banker they went to, the guy goes, "Nah, I don't know how you're going to turn a barn into a furniture place." And the next guy goes, "Hey, you tell me how much you need, and you got it." And he said that was that. So it took him a year of cleaning out the barn and stuff, and rest is history. I mean, the place is so cool. Like if you could just, I just wish if anybody was going through the area, stop by, take a look. You can get online, look at Spring Mill Furniture Barn. It's amazing. But the guy had so many great stories. So what the guy did is he had, furniture all over, but then he had antiques that he had bought, stuff so there'd be like a little section of yardsticks, and a little section of Fiesta ware. He had a pool, he had a huge pool
Sounds
table.
like it's full of junk.
No, it's not. It's really nicely done. It's doesn't feel like there's junk. It doesn't feel like there's junk anywhere. But And so he was just a really nice guy, and he stood there and talked to us for a while. And of course, he's trying to sell us furniture, but I really, I enjoyed the history and stuff. But he told us that, and this is the part I thought you would like. So that dairy barn, the guy who managed the dairy barn, lived in a house out front, and and so by the time they bought the barn in the 60s, the house had burnt down, but he never knew why. And he said one night him and another buddy were, somewhere in Shelby eating dinner, and this lady walks in, and the guy he's with calls him over and says, "Hey, I want to introduce you to this guy. This is Rod, who owns the furniture barn." And the lady goes, like, just got excited. She said, so she told him the story that the house out front was the manager of the dairy farm, but he had a illegal moonshine still in the basement. Okay.
Okay, yeah.
And so everybody would go there. She goes, we went every Friday night, me and my husband, and he made the best peach moonshine. And we'd get whatever, a 5 gallon jug or whatever, peach moonshine. And every Friday they went. And but then word got out that the revenue service was looking for the guy. So they said one day he went down in the basement, and there was, I must have been, they said sawdust on the floor. So he stuck a candle in the sawdust and lit it and took off for
Burnt the
Kentucky.
house,
Took
burnt the
off,
house down.
took off for Kentucky. And they said by the time he got to Kentucky, the house was burnt to the ground because the candle had got down to the sawdust.
Oh, I like the way he does that, man. Back in the day, they would use a matchbook to get you 7 minutes, but
Yeah.
a matchbook in a cigarette would get you 7 minutes. But candle, I never even thought about that.
Imagine that. Imagine how long that would take. So I just thought that was a great story. As soon as
I
I
don't
heard
know if
it,
that'd be good to blow your house down or burn your house down just to get out of a little.
well, it wasn't his house. He was the manager of the dairy farm. He didn't own it or anything. He just managed the dairy farm, and then sold moonshine on the side. And they said he
You
never
know,
came back. He never came back. So I thought that was a cool story. I thought you probably know 5 people who had moonshine stills that did that.
you know what's funny? I know two. My FTO on the highway patrol, his grandpa went to prison for moonshine.
Really?
Year and a day. And my one of my best friends to this day, he's the number 3 guy in the highway patrol, and it was his, I think, great grandpa that went to prison for moonshine. So there's 2 guys that knew, their grandpas or great grandpas went to prison for moonshine because where I live, it's all these old Germans, and I guess they just in Germany, I guess you could make your own moonshine, and
Oh,
they
really?
moved
Okay.
over. Yeah, you know what I mean. And their family been making wine. There was all kinds of guys that I grew up with. Some of them still make wine, make a lot of homemade wine, and
Oh, yeah,
you
yeah.
can make up to 200 gallons of moonshine a year without getting an ATF permit.
So those guys were making it more as they
Well, they're
just
making it for my FTOs. He was making it for. I mean, he started during Prohibition and just kept doing it.
okay.
And the local
Okay.
guys, they really sell it to beat the tax. Because it's supposed to be so much cheaper. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
It's. I don't know what the tax on liquor is, but
I don't
apparently it's a lot. I don't know.
either. Well, and I wondered like what the time period was. So they did start during Prohibition and just kept doing
Yeah,
it.
they just kept doing it. Yeah, I think actually they were doing it before Prohibition, during Prohibition, and just kept doing it in the 40s, 50s. You know what I mean? Because why?
Why stop if you
Yeah, well,
can?
I mean,
Because half the time, I mean, of course, people don't probably listening don't always understand how rural some of the places we live or grew up
well,
are.
air marshal that I worked with, he started making his own moonshine, and he actually got a liquor license, and that's how I knew it was 200 gallons because he was giving so much away.
Oh, because he would get to 200 gallons
Yeah,
and he's like,
you can't sell it. Yeah, so he ended up just go ahead and getting his, so he could not worry about it.
so
Because
they,
he had a lot of parties, or he'd give people a little quart jar as a joke, and then more people wanted them. You know what I mean?
So is getting a liquor license for that different than like the liquor licenses like we have around for drive-throughs
Yeah,
and
because you get it from the feds, ATF. You get it from to
okay.
manufacture, not a selling license to manufacture it.
So so you get the manufacturing license, but you're allowed to sell it then to somebody.
Well, he didn't sell it. No, he gave it away. He couldn't sell it because he didn't have a
Oh,
sales license.
so you had to get a license just to make over 200 gallons.
Dude, this is the America. It's full of bullshit rules and regulations to make
Golly.
some fucking lobbyist in Northern Virginia rich to pay off the politicians to make the laws. Okay, it's time you start figuring that out. This ain't the land of milk and honey. It's the land of credit and payoffs. That's what this country
It
is.
sounds like the record business in the
You know,
60s,
100%, 100%. You know, that's exactly right. You know, rinky dink flim flammers go to Hollywood or Nashville. Real flim flammers, the fucking major league flim flammers, go to Washington D.C. That's where the big boys are at. You know what I mean? You want to fuck around and make a couple million on a movie or a record label? Good deal. We're gonna make a couple billion fighting a war here or there, or making some contracts, or taking the lead out of paint so it wears the fuck off every 2 years and you got to buy more. You know, you may keep going.
No. Well, no, because I want to talk about this guy that got arrested from Colombia.
Okay, Columbia, Missouri, or Columbia, Ohio?
Bogota, Colombia.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay. Okay. This is a great story. That's a great story. So, Colombian police apprehended a. Now, this is sad. This is sad. I don't. Okay.
I was thinking how bad you'd have to be to get the police in Bogota to worry about you.
Well, wait till you hear the story. A 40-year-old man attempting to smuggle several bags of cocaine concealed beneath a meticulously attached toupee. Police said the suspect was detained at the airport as he prepared to board a flight to Amsterdam. A scanner revealed that a hidden cargo of 220 grams of cocaine packaged in small bags strategically placed under what authorities describe as a narco wig. Police estimate the street
Well, how
value.
much could you put underneath your hairpiece?
I don't know.
I mean, he wasn't like JJ from Good Times with a big ass fro, was he? You put a
Well,
kilo in?
it said the street value of the drugs is approximately 10,000 euros on the European market. Police video released on Monday captured the moment an officer wearing blue gloves carefully removed the suspect's wig with scissors, revealing approximately a dozen packets of cocaine. Further, police statements confirmed the suspect's prior criminal record, which included two previous drug trafficking convictions. So, how how bad would your toupee have to look? Like, like when I see guys with really bad toupees, there's some people around here with some really bad toupees. I just feel bad for them. You know, I don't want to like put any more, um, bring any more notice to what's going on on top of their head. Like, how bad would it have to be for you to not just say, "Look, dude, I don't care what you're smuggling under that bird's nest. Just go ahead and go." You know, and he's 40 years old. So was he completely bald?
It's probably like everything else, right? I hate to erode your confidence in this, but some Colombian cop probably realized, he was competition for somebody else. You know what I mean? He was the
I got you.
brother-in-law. His
I got you.
brother-in-law is the big cocaine dealer,
To
so they needed to
Amsterdam.
they needed to get him out of the way or whatever.
Well, how much is 10,000 euros?
Well, it's about $1.10 for euros, so 10,000 euros would be what, $1,100, give or take.
No, wouldn't it be like $11,000? A dollar a euro, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
11,000. Yeah,
okay.
yeah. I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's okay. All right. So I thought that was just like it's bad enough you're wearing a toupee and then you're the Colombian drug lords are making you smuggle cocaine underneath of this under this bad toupee. This is
Well, poor people got poor ways. He couldn't afford one of them
hair club for men.
Russian submarines or whatever they used to do that. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's right. Didn't they? Yes. Didn't they
Remember they
buy?
used to do all kinds of stupid stuff like that.
buy a little submarine. A guy
Uh-huh.
with no training and no
Yeah.
skills would take it.
Yeah. That's right.
So I wanted to ask you, what did you think about Gene Hackman in his situation?
Is he still dead?
I don't know.
Randy Quaid says,
I saw what Randy Quaid said.
did you see the post this morning where Hackman had a post about Epstein a couple of days ago?
No. What? Wait a second. Gene Hackman.
I think it was made up.
It
I think
had
it
to
was
be
made
made
up.
up. They said Gene Hackman had been dead for 2 weeks, according to his pacemaker.
Well, he'd been dead since the 17th. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I saw no, I saw Randy Quaid.
Say he was killed because of his residual royalties.
I didn't see that. Is
Oh,
that
that
why?
was his very first one. He said he was killed by the SAG because that dude had bigger royalty checks than everybody in Hollywood. Because he'd been acting, he'd
Gene
been in so
Hackman had bigger checks.
what he said because he had so many movies for
Well,
50, 60. He's getting paid for stuff he did 50, 60 years ago. I think he's being accumulative. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
well, yeah, but that which leads me to the article I read that Gene Hackman said he so in 77 what movie was it that he did? But he was going through his first divorce with 3 kids. And so he kind
The
of
kids that let
retired
him lay up there and be dead for 2 weeks because they're mad about his new wife, right?
his new wife that he married in 1990. Um,
Yeah,
and
35 years ago.
yeah, but he came and he said, he goes, look, he goes, I needed money. So just started doing movies. Much, you hear, but he was at that time, they said, or he said, $4 to $7 million in the hole to the IRS and
For what?
back taxes for that he just didn't pay. And he said he had tax shelters that didn't work out.
You think?
I guess so. But
Don't
they,
we all?
but one of the movies he did just for the money, and he said, he goes, I wouldn't even look at the script. I just say, how much you paying me? And he goes, I just
Kind
go
of like
do it.
Nicolas Cage, right?
Right, right. But he said one of the movies he did for that was Hoosiers. And he goes, that completely turned his career back around, was Hoosiers. And he just did it strictly for the money. I mean, that's one of the greatest sports. I mean, that's right up there in the top five, probably with Rocky and, um, you know, the Natural and stuff like that.
I
And
never saw it.
never saw Hoosiers.
No,
You've never seen Hoosiers. You've never
no, but
seen
I've been to Indiana a bunch. Does that count? I've seen a lot of Hoosiers driving around.
No, in fact, they you can go play in that gym. Like you can rent that gym out. The guy who helps with our elementary league, they took their high school team over there in Hickory. I think it's Hickory.
And what did the kids say? What a dump, or what they? You know what I mean?
It is. It's one of those old gyms where it's a
I was in an old
balcony.
gym last Saturday.
How
They
old?
play a game here, the 30s.
Holy
They
smokes.
they play a game here called the Throwback Game. Our high school plays a school that's about 12 miles away, Eldon. Every year it was like their 60th or 70th game in a row. So they play in regular season in the big thing, but every year they'd make one of them on a Saturday and in the old gym. So like now it's a grade school. It's not even upper elementary or middle school. It's a freaking like first through fifth grade kids playing there.
Because it's so
Yeah,
small.
because it's so small. Old wood, wood, everything. Right, more
Oh
hardwood.
yeah.
They probably killed half the Ozarks to build this place like it is, and paint an inch thick. And people, the dude sitting behind me had his 1972 letter jacket on. So guys wear their old letter jackets, and all their
Oh
old
my God, are you
stuff. And
serious?
yeah, and these old people go in there and what they do is also it's chili. They have chili. So your $5 ticket, you get unlimited chili and sweet rolls. So you can go into the girls play a game and the boys play a game, and you can go in the cafeteria and you got all these old people, man. I can just, it's like Jerry. They don't even walk in to see the game. They go in there with
Just
all these
eat
chili
chili.
and these
It's,
giant cinnamon rolls the cooks make. You know what I mean? They're
yeah.
just, you know, and that's what they do. They got so many people. They have golf carts to bring the people in from the parking because there's not any really parking. You know what I mean? The parking, so they fill it up, and there's just It's a big deal. Throwback, man.
How many people could even fit in the gymnasium?
Probably 300. I don't even know, dude. I might have a picture or two I can send you, but I'm telling you, it I think it's pretty cool. But you
Yeah.
couldn't, yeah, if it ever caught on fire, it would probably burn all the way to China through the Earth's crust or something because of the wood. You know, I'm into wood, so I look at that and go, "My God, how did those guys cut all these trees down?" And I'm just talking the trim. It's got
Oh yeah.
wood trim, and it's got in the classrooms, the doorways all have like a 1x6 with the fancy corners. You know what I mean? All the 90-degree corners are a something that somebody routed out and
There was a building that was supposed to last forever and be impressive forever.
yes, yes.
Except the furnace didn't probably. The
Well, they
furnace.
got some black guys down there dripping oil over coals to chain down to the basement.
Oh gosh,
No, it's not quite that bad, but
that's
I'm sure it's been updated by now.
yeah, we used to play in this, and we when I was in junior high, one of our because our high school was the typical four schools consolidated into the high school in the '60s, but they still had all the original high schools were the junior high, elementary, junior high school, and we used to play in this one where the one side was just a great big wooden bleacher, like a I don't want to say bleachers, but it was just a big wooden,
Bench?
well, like it had rows that went up. It just went up the side. Okay. It didn't pull out or anything. It was built as a permanent structure. And so that's all the seating. And the seating on the other side where we had to sit as players, we had to sit on the stage. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Like the stage, there was no bench. It was us in seventh and eighth grade sitting there with our feet dangling over the side of the stage, and that was our bench. And the scorekeeper sat there in the middle. And I mean, heck, now if I had to jump off that stage to go into the game, I'd blow my knee out before I even got into the game.
The players set up on the stage?
Yes, we all sat on the stage. Like you had the big bleachers on the one side, the big wooden bleachers. Okay, you couldn't when you were sitting in the bleachers, you couldn't even see the out of bounds in front of the bleachers because there was a wooden wall built up there. Okay, like you were in the Coliseum and they were going to be feeding Christians to the lions down there, and you had a wall that kept the
Mm-hmm.
first two rows away, so you
Right. I
couldn't
just
even.
watched Gladiator 2 last night. Thank
Is it
you. I was thinking that.
is that any good? Is that any good?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of clownish, but it's okay.
But so then you had the floor, which was tiny, and then you had across the floor was the stage, and there was no room for benches on the floor, I think. So we sat on the stage. So one team sat on the one side, and the other team sat on the other side, and then there was a little scorer's table in the middle, and you sat there with your legs dangling over during the game if you weren't in the game. And then they'd put you if they put you in, you had to
Right.
hop down onto the floor and walk over to the scorer's table.
So where I went to school, we had a stage like that, but with the players set with chairs, folding chairs. Remember, almost like the
Yeah.
front row of the Lakers game or something. They had folding chairs between the. But
But I mean, this stage was 4 feet off the ground, 4 feet. So the front of the
high.
stage, oh yeah, it was high.
Well, yeah, that's why it's a stage.
So yeah,
Because if it was the same level, it'd be just a continuation of the gym floor, right?
yeah, that would have been better. That would have been better. Yeah,
Well,
but they tore all those schools down, and
if I'm sure if you just do another bond increase or tax increase, you can get a new school like you want.
well, there's one coming up. We got a brand new.
Oh, no kidding.
Oh yeah, yeah. Our
Is it going to pass?
I don't know. They just are the they had a renewal levy last spring. Did not tell anybody about it. Okay. So when they have that primary or that election in March, there's very little attendance very little voter turnout. But to pass something like that, I think it lost by 11 votes. And they didn't tell it. Nobody even knew this renewal levy.
So you
So,
think it would have passed had they?
yeah, I mean, they could have got 20 extra people to go out and
That's
vote for.
because nobody. Well, hey, if people don't want to go out there
Well, voter
and
turnout, but they didn't even know it. They didn't even know it was on the ballot. Okay.
yeah, but it doesn't matter if you vote every single time. You don't need to know what's on the ballot because
Voter turnout was about 13% for the thing.
that's what's wrong with the world right there.
So
But go ahead.
So then these guys on the school board got to have, they're like, they have to bring this renewal back up last November, in which is good. It's going to be the most highly turned out for election in a long time. As people are thinking, well, hey, look, if I can get away with not paying this levy, now I just not let it renew. It might save me some money. Now, but it costs.
So you're saying now you think people will vote it down?
Well, no, they voted for it last November. So it was last March. It failed. They had to spend the money to put it back up. Okay. It cost money to get it back onto the ballot. And then it passed. But everybody in the school district is just furious. Like, why didn't you tell us it was on the ballot in March? We would have just passed it then. Because here's the thing, is now they haven't passed a new levy for 20 some years. And they desperately need to pass a new levy. Well, what do you think the odds are in back-to-back elections?
Why do they think
that you're going to get a renewal passed and then get a new levy passed? Probably zero, is what I'm thinking.
Well, I'm thinking, what you get? People get the kind of government. What do they say? Sir Robert Peel used to say, he was the founder, the kind of the father of the modern criminal justice system.
Yeah.
He used to say communities get the kind of policing they demand and the kind of criminal they deserve. And you could say that about schools. You get the kind of school you demand and the kind of student you deserve. So
to speak. Yeah. Look,
all
I know is Izzy got accepted to the Fisher School of Business at the Ohio State University.
There you go.
So the last one leaving the nest is on her way to success, I hope. I hope.
Well, and maybe because they thought the people that voted thought, the vice president come from Ohio Public Schools, so maybe we're good enough.
Won't even comment on. I won't even comment on that guy. But anyway, hey, that's beside the point. It's baseball season. I'm excited about baseball season.
Hey, I'm gonna bring positive. Trump wants to pardon Pete Rose.
I saw that. But Pete Rose was not convicted of a crime.
It doesn't matter. Biden made it popular. Let's just pardon everybody. Hell, he'll pardon us for this shitty podcast one day.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of the From the Shadows podcast. Until next time, never shy away from the darkness or what may be lurking in the shadows. We are out.
God only